So just yes or no.
So do you think people should have higher education? I think they should.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I mean,
Why don't you guys think that people should have higher education?
Well, for me, it's more of to like a point. I think if you already know the skill, there's no point on you wasting extra time and extra money to learn what you already do.
And I'm kind of with that, but I didn't really say anything about the time, it's just the money and like when you're the most struggling times for you are when you're like first getting a job and moving out, and that's when you need money the most. So going to like a 4-year college is gonna cost a lot of money.
okay, but there's also like financial
Ryan, what
aid
about
and
you?
stuff like that to help.
I think that people should have higher education because it can help them get better paying jobs in the future, which will help pay for the debt that they might be caused from going to college.
Say it loud so
You don't have debt if you don't go. That way you don't have to pay it off, so you don't need that extra.
But jobs that you don't get a higher education, statistically, will pay 56% less than if you do get a higher education.
See, I'm in the middle with it though. Like I said, like if you already know the skill, like if jobs just changed what they thought of like, oh hey, like let's not look for a person who has a college degree, but let's look for the person who has the actual skills. Like just make them take a test over it. It's like, okay, this person doesn't have a degree, but he knows all of the stuff already. What's the point of hiring, someone with a degree?
True.
And it'd just be that much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Like at the same time, employers don't really do that.
which you could always change.
Yeah.
I mean, getting a higher education, it like can bring you into like a bunch of new skills, like a bunch of new communication skills that like you wouldn't have before.
True.
I had that with a higher education, a lot more skills are learned and more classes are offered, which could cause you to end up in a field that you didn't think that you would go into, so it offers more opportunities.
That's true, but more classes would also mean more money that you would have to spend on the classes and on the communication skills that they didn't have. Can you like kind of explain a little bit more?
Like you get to know a bunch more people if you do go to college, and then if you don't go to college, you're basically just stuck with like the people you know other than the people you work with. But like in college, you meet many more people that you wouldn't have met otherwise.
like we talked about in sociology today. Mr. Ancrum pointed out that most likely you'll meet the person you married in college.
Statistically.
I mean, but like this is also, I mean, that's like your personal life. And this is more talking about like your job and your education. It's really needed. But I mean, like if you're looking for a love like that, sure, I guess it could do something. But
Yeah, because here, with us here, we all want to go our separate ways, so we can't really find someone who wants to go the same way.
Right.
But in college, everyone is well.
True. High
You
school
find
relationships are more of a learning experience than
Yeah.
Most of the time. Well, not that there's not exceptions.
So you said that.
But like if you think about it in all out reality, what are the chances you actually end up with that person
Right.
forever?
Right.
So back to the like job thing, I had that when you're pursuing a higher education, there's more freedom in pursuing a career. So you will likely enjoy your career more because there are employment benefits, higher income, and advancement opportunities that allow you to enjoy it better.
when you're looking for a job, right, and you're kind of like doing all the research about it, you can look up videos on like what it is. It's really simple nowadays to figure out like, hey, what does this job actually do? So you going to college and taking classes because it has to be in one semester. If you're in college, you have to pay for that one semester of it. Paying for that class and realizing that you don't like it would have been much simpler if you just looked up a video on YouTube or like, did like maybe an hour of research on what does this thing do, and then you would have just saved that much money and then not wasted wasted some time on that.
I feel like that when people go to college, like normally you choose one career, so that's probably like one or two of the classes that helps with that career. So you feel like you wasted a lot of time on other classes that didn't really help.
Plus, like the first 2 years of college are all gen eds, which you have to pay for, and which probably aren't needed to what you're actually doing. Like you're going to be a nurse, right?
Mhm.
You're not going to need too much English or math. I mean,
No,
you'll need
yeah.
simple. You'll need some
I mean,
simple
yeah.
stuff. Like there'll be something, but you don't need to know physics.
Yeah.
do you? Or
But like at the same
functions.
time, in order to achieve the degree I need in order to be a nurse, I have to go through college.
Basically, you just
Like-
have to prove you have those skills again.
exactly.
So
Which
That was,
Kind of
Kind of
messed up about
pointless,
it.
but
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to do it, you have to do it.
which is like my take on it. Like I wouldn't want to do that. Like I mean, there's of course if you can find a place that doesn't like make you take gen eds, but you can still get some sort of degree in it and get actual learning, that'd be amazing. But they don't.
I mean,
problem is with this, it's kind of messed up actually, because you pay for all these unnecessary classes, but most of the time, you have to take those unnecessary classes to do what you want to be able to do. Like, you have to pay for all the stuff that you don't even need in order to go on and be happy.
Yeah, that's when you just become an adult, so it just
Yeah.
makes things harder. But
Yeah, it's just like how in high school now we have to pay for textbooks, but we barely use textbooks anymore. I use one textbook, and that's my sociology. Yeah, because that's part of like having to pay for school. Because we have free education, but yeah, we still have to pay to go here,
Mhm.
and that's out of
Yeah.
textbooks.
I don't remember when
I think it's kind of, everything's kind of messed up.
Yeah,
Be
and like
honest.
how
Yeah, like college is like, oh, it's to make you a more well-rounded person and you know more about everything. When you're going to be spending
oh yeah, they don't teach
40
you how
to
do
50
that.
years of your life doing just one thing over and
Mhm.
over again, you don't need to know all the
Well,
other ones.
Like thinking about like me, how I want to be a flight nurse. My college isn't even gonna matter because I have to go to nursing school after college.
Mhm.
So it's like those 4 years are just a step that I have to pay for.
Like, what if you just skipped the gen eds and then went straight to nursing school? You'd probably end up fine.
probably change like your scale. I mean,
Maybe, but you just can't do that.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
See what I think? Right here it says between 2014 and 2024, occupations that typically require a post-secondary non-degree award, which is like going to trade school or higher for entry, are projected to grow more rapidly than average for all occupations. So right now, us getting college degree or like going to trade school if you want to be an engineer or something, it would help us easily find a job if we want one. I guess we would just be bums, but.
So I read this article and it kind of talks about how the gap is growing between like higher educated people and people that don't get higher education. And some of the facts that go along with it are that happen. It's even like if you get a higher education, you're more likely to vote in like elections, like the national elections and stuff.
I could see that because if, one of the presidents is like free college, wouldn't a college student be more likely to vote because they don't want to pay for it? Which is another reason why most people, a person wouldn't want to consider like the average that someone has. Like when they come out, like the average debt is.
Yeah, that's like one of the top government controlled things, like along with like our free healthcare. Because presidents like Barack Obama and Ronald Reagan brought that up. But like places like TurboTax and it's like all those things that benefit off of like what the government does not control, then
Yeah, I mean, all the college debt in the world added up is like $1.5 trillion. And
college people die with college debt. And it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But
It's been
you have to
it's been
think
passed
about
on.
it too. You can- I guess it kind of depends because if you pick a good career where you're going to make quite a bit of money and you can plan and set aside to be able to pay off your college debt, you should die with college debt because you're making statistically 56% more than someone that doesn't go to college and they're able to live. So like, I think it's just a matter of individually. planning it out as if you're gonna die with college debt or not.
That's pretty true.
I think
I
that's
have-
definitely probably or just poor planning, the way you do it.
Yeah.
I have a statistic that says the College Board reports that a graduate who completes a four-year college and enrolls when they are 18 is usually able to earn enough by the time they're 36 to make up for the 4 years of not working.
See, so like I go to MIT, I have one class there. My college, so MIT is just like a trade school basically for engineering, where it's just 2 years, and they don't have any gen eds. It's just you get an associate's degree. Like their gen eds are like integrated into the engineering program that they have, and like he was talking about how in 2 years, right? If someone else went to a 4-year college, you already have 2 years of work on top of them because they have like a 97% acceptance rate, like getting into a job. So you have 2 years of making, because I think the average of them coming out of that college is like $50K a year.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 2 years making that, and then you would only have to pay for 2 years of schooling. When someone else went for 4 years, doesn't have a job that makes them that much money, and then they just have that much more debt added up already. And then in between that 2 years, while you're still going to college and they're working, they could have already gotten a raise, a better position, more money. And then, like in that case,
I don't know, just for the long run, I almost think it's better to have a higher education.
That's what I even say.
Like maybe short term, definitely not. Because you're gonna be in debt for
For a
10
long
years,
time.
for a while.
That's like the roughest time.
Like you're
But you
gonna be in
also-
debt, but at the same time, usually during that period of your life, you don't have a lot. Like, you have a lot going on, but a lot of people then aren't like buying, like starting family and all that stuff, like
Right
right
after they
when you
get
get
out
out
of
of
college.
college. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
you
usually
can't-
it's like a couple years after. Like usually you have time to kind of figure out how to make things work financially. It's not like you're just thrown on the streets. Like if you're 200K in debt, you gotta figure out how to pay it off.
Mhm.
Like I think there's things set up so you can succeed.
But you can't predict like what'll happen. Like for some people, they might like get a like illness that they have to pay for, or like their parents will die and they'll have nowhere to live. So, like, there are other issues that can come into terms with paying for college.
Ryan, what do you kind of think about it?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, but
Were you for or against college?
4.
You were for? Okay.
What are some of the statistics you had done that are your evidence?
Well, one of them was a liberal arts curriculum can be rich in science training or any kind of training. But like if you want to go for one specific thing, you go to college and you're going straight to that. But if you don't, then you won't reach the level that you need to get into that job because you're always going to be one step below.
I think it kind of just depends on what you want to do with your life as to what's best for you.
I mean, I just looked it up because, like, depending on the job you need, like, the average amount of money that you need to comfortably live in, like, any area kind of depends on the state you're in, but it's in between, like, $20,000 to $40,000, really. Like, that you need a year.
I would almost say it's higher too.
Yeah.
It's
Probably.
getting higher and
'Cause
higher by the year because things are getting way more expensive.
mhm.
So, like,
Taxes.
Just think about like gas when we were kids and how much cheaper it used to be.
I remember,
Do you
like,
remember?
at one point it was like
Everyone-
$4 and then it like dropped down to $2.
Yeah, and remember when it went up to $4 and everyone was like, we don't have money to buy gas and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
And,
so-
And we're like, isn't that long ago that it tipped over $2?
Yeah, and when they
And
started
everyone freaked out.
coming out with new technology, like the newer phones, they're like $1,000 for one of them.
Yeah.
When flip phones now are like 20.
But
Right.
nowadays, those are like necessary to live.
Right.
Like you're expected to have those. Like you're socially like expected to have those.
Yeah.
If you don't,
And then-
sometimes you're made fun of.
There's even
Yeah.
class, the I'm not sure what it's called. So sports data analysis. You have to have phone because you do advanced jobs.
I think people expect students to like further their education and go on to college and get good jobs to be able to pay for all that stuff, which is why it's like so expensive. But like some people, I've heard some of my counterclaims like supporting the other side. Some people can't afford it. Some jobs are already high paying and beneficial, and some families don't let their child pursue a higher career or a higher education.
I think like after coming out of college, you might get a job that like, so let's say you're living in a state where it's $30,000 for you to live, and you have a job where you make, you know, let's say $40,000 right off the bat. You're paying that $30,000 a year, so you're only at $10,000, and then the average person pays $200 to $300 a month on their college debt.
And that's not even including, probably not even including like
All
car
the,
insurance,
all the basic
car.
necessities.
So then that's almost
phones.
$5,000 on everything else, and then you have not a lot.
Yeah, that cost of that seems awfully low to me.
Like needed to live and stuff.
I guess I almost consider that's like
Yes,
in order to have a house and like have food and stuff. I think that's about what it would be.
Because I just looked it up, and I don't know like if this is right or not.
Because I think to live comfortably, because like when I was researching my thing, it talked about how like I looked up like the definition of like what it means to live comfortably, and so it means that you can pay for everything and still have extra money to set
Like, do
aside
stuff you want.
to like not like including like spending money and like fun money, but they're also talking about like extra money beyond that to like put in savings accounts
Right.
and stuff like that. For like $30,000 or 40 or like 30 between 30 and 50 does not seem like I'd have enough money to pay for my like for a house or an apartment and your phone, car, like all that stuff. It seems really low.
And that's just starting out. Once you're right out of college, that's the hardest part, because if you don't have a job, then you can't pay for anything. And even if you do have a job, you have to climb the ranks to get enough money.
And that's not even including kids.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and then if you
Yeah.
can't pay for college and you get a loan, there's interest on the loans, and that just skyrockets the money even worse if you can't pay them.
Like,
Yeah,
just
'cause
doesn't pay.
Yeah.
If you have a steady rate of pay and it doesn't go up, then even though you're paying it off, more is just going to be piling on. So you're not going to be making any progress to pay it off.
Yeah, it's,
I know that. But if you think about it, how many kids their parents just send them to college and they're like,
And they
I'm
pay for
gonna
it
pay
all.
for it.
Right.
I don't
Not
think
a
it's
whole
not
lot.
too many.
yeah, my mom
I know
said
I'm
she
not
paid
getting the
for mine in
luxury of
college.
that.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to figure out how to work for it myself. But at the same time, there is quite a few kids that like get a part-time job during college too, to help
pay
offset some of the
for some of
costs.
it, yeah.
It's less
Like
than
even in high school, we have jobs. Like I work at Subway, and then I'm planning on transferring to Subway in Mount Vernon once I graduate to go to college in Cornell. And then I have to get a doctorate in psychology to make $60,000 a year. And with all that college debt, I'm gonna have to live with my mom for a few years.
Because
I will not be
you won't be
able
able to pay off any of your debt because you're gonna have so much stuff to do.
Another thing, I think it just depends on what career you want to take as to if it's best to get a higher education or not. Because like Miss French said earlier, some of the guys who work at like the factories and stuff, they don't have a higher education and they're making more than probably both my parents combined. They both have master's degrees.
Yeah.
My mom works at Timken, and I don't even know how much she makes, but like we're living comfortably, me and her. And she went to Hamilton Tech, and she didn't even use any of her degree. She didn't need it. And she's been working there over 20 years.
I think it just depends
It
on
really depends on your viewpoint, like what you want to do with your life. If you can afford to go to college.
Well, let's look at this. What do you need a higher education in order to do what you want to in the future?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you?
probably.
Do you need a higher education in order to do what you want, like in the future?
Even
No.
going to trade school.
So could that be why you said no?
I mean, I guess so.
Because that's not
Because
something
he
that you
doesn't
need,
need
so
Okay, what job do you want to have in the future?
you don't know.
So like, even if you want to be something in engineering, you'll probably have to go to trade school.
Right. Most jobs nowadays
You have to have,
require a college education.
or at least
Or just
some,
a higher.
Or at least some sort of
training.
Yeah.
If you want to get a good job that gives you good insurance
Right.
and a nice
And pays good,
retirement
then,
plan,
yeah.
Levi
it's very-
Levi just looked it up, and it says 30% of all first-year college students that go through 4 years are like are planning to drop out in the first year.
Mhm.
So
That's huge.
that's like
It's
almost 1 in 3.
I know, which seems crazy to me.
So
Some
3 of
people are
us.
just wasting that money.
Mhm.
66% of Americans though who didn't graduate from college said that they wish they had.
yeah.
Mm.
So there's like some of those dropouts. that might-
Wish.
Crap on
I don't know. I guess that just worries me. Because why are that many people not being able to make it through the first year of college?
Like
I
stress.
think it's just
What?
like
Probably
being
money.
away
Just
from
stress.
like their
Yeah.
parents and having them support them and everything. It's just
transition.
hard.
It might be the money too, because you might not be able to pay for the next lessons.
Like
Yeah, I don't
housing. My
Housing
brother
is so
pays.
expensive.
He got a full ride to where he's going, and the housing is just extremely expensive.
Does he still have to pay for housing? Yeah.
He got like the full education and everything, but housing is just what's like really expensive for that.
Even for me, like I'm getting like $30,000 like in total for micro scholarships from Cornell, which is where I'm planning on going. I still have to pay $20,000 a year to go there. It's just ridiculous how college is so expensive.
I think it is ridiculous.
Just
Just almost like the amount of how much college costs is almost ridiculous because you almost have to get a higher education in order to be comfortable,
Right.
like in this society. So I think it's some people can't afford that.
Yeah, there's so much stress, like just coming out of high school and having to like look at all those numbers of how much you're gonna be paying. Yeah.
You're barely old enough to even have your brain fully developed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys don't even have their brain fully developed until like 20,
22, yeah.
22,
22.
somewhere around there.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
Like,
20s.
I feel like it's ridiculous that they're making kids decide.
Right.
They make us decide all this stuff. It's like I don't know what I want to do for the next 50 years of my life.
Yeah, because
That's why people change their careers.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
like driving
Choose so
and
early.
getting like a job.
I know.
So since it's like almost time to be done, I think we can all agree that we think college, like the pricing and stuff, is outrageous, but like it's really
important.
it's really it's important for like living a comfortable life. It's
Somewhat.
Yeah,
Like, it has its necessities and then also has its things that could do away with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think almost every career needs a higher
Some
education.
sort of education.
but most people would probably say that the risk is worth it, because even though you're starting out, this much of your life is going to be difficult, but this half, or the rest of it's going to be worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
So someday when you're older, you might look back and say it was worth it.
Right.
And someday you might not say it wasn't worth it, but how would you know if you never tried?
Right.
Right.
And then like that $60,000 I'll be making like with my doctorate. That's like without any raises or like depending on where I live, because that's one of the lowest amounts of money I could make. Like if I go to Chicago and have